I'm so excited to introduce you to some of the speakers that are coming to the ABC Wow Conference. And this morning, or whatever time you're looking at it, we're going to talk to Jordan. And Jordan, I like to dive in a little bit. Instead of telling us all about yourself and all the things they can read in the bio, I really want to know why you feel it's important that the topic or presentation that involved teams is so important to our industry, especially in 2024, as the conference, as you may know, has very new 3 years or less attendees and those that have been in business for 20 or 30. But I think one of the things that I see evolving in our industry is more and more people realize I not necessarily can do better, but I can make a greater impact if I start building a team. And let's face it, the impact also means digits in your bank account. So share a little bit about why you chose this topic, teams, to bring to this conference of amazing wedding industry and event professionals.
Yeah, I mean, Bobbi, that's a great question. I think, I started my company 12 years ago. And, for a long time, I was the lead planner, the sole lead planner for the company. And, I've added to my company over the years. It wasn't all at once. They've been spread out as I've added to my team, whether that's planners, whether that's operations managers, whether that's bookkeepers. I mean, I think looking at your team, there's a wide variety of ways to grow your team and add to your team. And I think, as you pointed out, for this conference in particular, for those who are just starting out, that might be a VA, that might be a bookkeeper is the first, team member you're going to hire. If you've been doing this 20 years and you're doing it by yourself as the only planner in your company, yeah, maybe it is time to bring on another planner, whether you want to be able to do more than one wedding in a weekend, or whether you're looking at potentially growing so that you can take a step back and work towards retirement eventually. Whatever that may look like for you, I think it's always a good time to look, almost annually and say, what does my company look like? Where am I going next year? And what does that mean in terms of the team? There are only so many hours in the day, and there's only so much we can do as individuals. I know we all are pretty type A and like to think we can do absolutely everything. That's where I started. And I was like, I'm going to do all the things. And, I have a better balance in life now that I have other team members, whether they're doing sort of that back end admin work or they are full lead planners out, having their own clients, leading their own weddings and events. So I think it's always a good time to talk about this topic and see if that's a way to help you grow your business or a way to just help you find better boundaries and better balance in your life and in your business.
And I think, too, I want to be clear, and since we have the privilege of having you here, a team does not necessarily mean a body that might be sitting right next to you. It might not be a body that's even across the street, but also share the importance of a team can help you prevent some burnout. And let's face it, we're all not good at everything, even though, as you said, we like to think we can do it all. But there are certain things in our business that we just don't bring us joy. And my point is, if you don't like doing those things, you're not going to be good at it. No matter your mindset, you're just not going to be good at it. And then why struggle? So go a little deeper and explain. You talked a little about VAs, but a team really can mean people taking off the load of things that you don't like to do. So expand on that a little bit, Jordan.
Yeah, absolutely. So, the first way that I grew my own team, and, it's something I'll definitely be talking about in November, but the first way I grew my own team was hiring a bookkeeper. As much as we all need to know our numbers, we're not all the best at being in the numbers and dealing with QuickBooks and pulling the reports and all those things. And, that was just not my zone of genius. I could do it, but it would take me 7 times as long as it's going to take somebody who is a bookkeeper. She can do my books so much faster than I can. And whether that's you're hiring an individual person to do your books, or you're hiring a larger company who has a really large team and you're just one of their clients, there's so many ways to do that and to, help take that load off of your plate so that you can focus on your clients, focus on the things that you really are good at and you really enjoy. Because we're all doing this because we love it and we want to be doing this. And so you should be focusing on the pieces that you like and being able to take off the parts that you don't love. So bookkeeper is a great one. They can be anywhere. They don't have to be in your same time zone. They can be absolutely anywhere. VA, whether they are doing just doing sort of client emails, if you're in a program like Aisle Planner or Timeline Genius, they're helping you out in those programs. they can do a lot of different things for you. So figuring out what are those tasks that you don't love, that you would love to have somebody else take off your plate, so you can, again, focus on the things that you do love. So our VA over time, we've really named our operations manager, because they are really interacting with their clients, sending worksheets, reminding them of appointments. So it really is sort of what does your company look like, and who is it you're going to be able to bring on that's going to be helpful. And again, those roles like bookkeeper, VA, social media manager, roles that really, they don't have to be anywhere near you. Our first VA, who I absolutely adored, she actually lived in an RV with her husband. So every time we chatted, I said, well, where are you today?
Yeah, exactly.
Arizona? Are you in New York? Are you in Florida? And so that was always so fun for me, because I got to find out where she was, sort of hear a little bit about what was going on in other parts of the country. But this is a part where they don't have to sit in your office. You don't need to worry about another desk. If your office is at home, you don't have to worry about bringing somebody else into your home. They don't need space. They just need that time, and they need a laptop. So there's a lot of roles that are not, as you said, Bobbi, bringing a physical human being into your own space, into your events, that are a great way to start small in terms of building your team, so that you're able to say, yeah, I have a company and there are 3 of us. And that could be you, that could be your social media manager, and your VA. That is just whatever that needs to look like for you.
Right, because we got into this industry, A, people pleasers, and B, because we think we can be the best wedding of anything. Yes. And we're the creative side. Right. So lots of times that creative side does not match that business side. And I also think that ongoing task. I mean, at 62 years old, I am detecting, it drives me crazy. I sit there and I think to myself, I had 42 years in this industry. Where would I have been if I had all this tech years ago, right? Because it wasn't just bringing on more photographers. It was bringing on, well, what equipment do I have them do? Do I get people that have different equipment so we can do something else? Right. Do I add in the video aspect? So if you're in this industry, and I'm going to say this is a general broad question, when is it too soon to be thinking about it? Does it come into that point, Jordan, where, okay, I have a couple extra $100 a month that I'm bringing in because I'm working my butt off. Right. If I took that couple $100 a month, where's the first place that you suggest we should look? Like maybe bookkeeper or something, but let's keep it industry specific. I have a couple $100. What can help that $100 grow to somewhere else and then alleviate me from doing something? But also the back end of that question is, you don't just hand something off and not do anything. You still have to do some work. You do. So you do have to realize you are still going to be managing someone. So you're not just saying, here's all the things, go with it, I'll never talk to you again. Not quite how that works. You still do need to put your hands in it. So you do have to think, with that couple extra $100 a month, do you also have that time to manage that person? And that doesn't have to be a lot of time to manage them, but what does that look like? And I think industry specific, I would say virtual assistant is the way to go. And specifically somebody who is maybe doing those smaller interactions with your clients. So obviously we are having, we are going to be that main point of contact for our client, but we don't need to be the one spending the time sending them the address for where the catering tasting is going to be. Right. We're reminding them of their payments that are coming up, asking them to fill out our worksheets or asking them to make sure their photo shot list is done, doing the follow-up and asking for those reviews, making sure that they're giving us those fabulous reviews afterwards, helping with some of that onboarding, some of that offboarding. That's where I would go first, is somebody that can come in and take parts of that off of your plate. And it's really helpful if you have those systems established. It's a lot harder if you bring them on and you're trying to figure out those systems at the same time. So I would say a couple extra $100 in your pocket, in your bank account every month, along with having those systems established, is probably the time to go ahead and bring on a virtual assistant to help take some of those sort of standard admin back-end operations off of your to-do list every month. And keeping in mind that, yes, you do need to check in with them, whether that's once a week, whether that's once a month. You're going to have a Zoom call with them and check in and make sure they're comfortable. They understand the company, the business. You are going to still be managing them. So I would start with a virtual assistant and then go from there. And I think too that I'm glad you said that, because you still have to give them information to implement, and they are representing your company. So if a client comes back and says, hey, I didn't get the address, it falls back on you. And I think that's where a lot of us in our industry, we get scared. But I also wanted to say, we also get scared if you hired a person that was sitting in your desk next to you. You have to let go of some of that trust, and you have to be confident in what you do. Because if you're strong, I used to always say, if you got to the studio, I could book you left and right. If I had to go back and forth through an email, I'm dyslexic, I have a learning disability, we were never going to get anywhere, right? So I know, but if you came in and you walked in my studio, the work on my wall, my enthusiasm, I could close 99% of every deal that walked in. So find that part that brings you joy and that you love to do. I'll put you on the hot seat a little bit here with this question. There's so many CRMs, we don't have to name drop or anything. There's so many CRMs. There's so many other things. Let's just say before I go and get a VA, I think I want to try this. How long do you think you should give yourself before you go, oh my God, this is just over my head and I still don't like it? How I really, because people go, okay, I can do this portion. And they still don't realize that that portion is stopping them from going out and networking and meeting people because they just think, oh, I bought this big CRM system. Yep. I'm paying for it. I need to know how to do it. You don't need to make it work for you. I mean, they should work for us. Our CRM systems and our things should work for us. So what's your advice to somebody who says, I just want to get it and try it, but I think I want you to say it's okay to not have to do it.
Right. So I think you have to think through a couple of things. What time of year did you go in and buy that CRM? Did you buy it right in the middle of wedding season? Then I'm going to tell you need to give it 3 or 4 months because you need to wait till your heavy wedding season is over and you actually have time to sit down in it and learn it and go through some tutorials. If you're buying it in a slow season, maybe 6 weeks. If you are truly dedicating the time to go in and really try to learn it, looking through tutorials, watching their videos, and you're like, you know what, I can see what this is going to do for my business, but figuring it out is not what is for me. I say there's 2 options there. Either ditch it and find another one, or I know a lot of those CRMs have Facebook pages and they have groups dedicated to helping one another. And there are actually a lot of VAs or even other planners out there who do specialize in those CRMs who offer services like, let me help onboard your company onto this service. Let me help teach you how to use this service, because everyone learns a different way. So maybe you reading their blog is not helpful. Maybe you watching those tutorials are not helpful, but talking to somebody one-on-one, getting to ask questions back and forth, that's what you need. So I think how long you try it is going to depend on when. I think some of us have been in that desperate moment and been, I'm going to buy it now. And then we don't have time. We are so booked and busy. We do not have time. But if you're in that slow season and you book it and you've tried for about 6 weeks to figure it out and it's not working, that's when I'd go seek a little extra help with one of those, virtual assistants, somebody else who maybe specializes in it and can step in and help. If you have a session with them and it still makes no sense and you think it's going to take too many hours to get your business uploaded into that, move on, ditch it. It's going to be okay. Find something that works for you. That's why there are so many options. That's why we have so many options in our industry. Yeah.
And I sometimes think if we would just bring what we do in our personal life sometimes into our business, like what would you take? Like how many times does something have to not work that you don't go, screw this, right? If we would sometimes take it, okay, in our business, I feel the same way. It's kind of like, I think sometimes in business, and I just was speaking at a conference last week and got stuck in all that fiasco stuff. But I kept hearing people say to me, I'm just not booking. I'm just not, I have all these leads coming in but I'm not doing anything. I'm like, we have a lead problem. You have a booking problem, right? That's what your issue is. But I kept hearing them talk about, I'm just so tired of sending the same emails out and all this stuff. And I'm practicing this or I'm practicing that. They just don't want to give up that what is harming them. And I said out loud, how many times did you go to a restaurant and have at a dinner and have everything come to the table wrong? You would go, stop, we're leaving. Right. We have to do that sometimes in our business and go, okay, this is not working. I need to find something else. So I'm glad that I wanted somebody that does the team things to say, hey, look, it's okay if it's not going to work for you. That's why there's so many. Because success is a different definition by everybody. So some people, successful businesses, I booked 5 weddings at X amount of dollars, or I booked 70 weddings at X amount of dollars. And I think we need to do a better job of, as educators, of it is okay how you define success. It is okay for you to do that. We're bringing to the table ways that can help you get to your success by your definition in an easier, less stressful way that you don't burn out. So I'm excited that you're talking about teams at this level. And I think the attendees are going to wake up and hear, okay, Jordan was just talking about this, this, and this. I never thought about it.
Right.
Let me shift a little bit. Tell the listeners and the viewers that are watching in, why is it important for you to share this message? Why personally, I know you share a little bit about that, but at this conference, why did you want to speak at this conference and really have this message, brought louder?
Yeah. So ABC is near and dear to my heart. It is the first association that I joined after starting my business, probably about a year into starting my business. It's the first sort of big industry conference I went to back in Dallas in, I want to say 2016. I might have gotten that year wrong, but it's been a while. So I've been to a lot of the ABC conferences. It's near and dear to my heart in terms of how I learned to grow my business, how I learned to, learn sort of the basics of running my business and starting out in this industry. And so, I'm really excited to come and speak to those who either are newer or those who've been around, ABC for a long time. And I think this topic, I'm not sure it's one that I heard a lot about.
Right.
I know there's some others who speak on it as well. But I think a lot of times, you're so, as we've talked about, so focused on doing it all yourself and being that, type A perfect person, that I want people to understand that you really don't have to do it that way. I've had another planner friend ask me before, she was of the type who's nervous to bring in somebody else on her team, nervous they're going to take everything she teaches them and run away with it and start their own company.
Right.
Right. My response to her was, that's okay with me. If this is what their dream is, I'd rather be that mentor and have them for a few years on my team and have them be a phenomenal team member and then have them go start some phenomenal company on their own. That's okay with me. And maybe that's a mindset that you have to have going into it. But I want to build up this industry. And so, if that's building great planners who are building their own companies, I'm okay with that. And I think that's also why I'm really passionate about this topic, is that I want other planners to understand that growing their business can look like bringing on other team members. It can look like giving up a little bit of that control, because one of the other things I love talking about is boundaries. And that is something that, growing my team has helped me set boundaries between my business and my own life. I have an almost 18-month-old little boy. And let me tell you, last year and the first year of being a parent, having two other team members who had all their own weddings and I knew what they were doing and could handle it, and I was able to take a step back from running events last year, was huge. That was huge. And if I was by myself, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I would have had to just have a whole year basically of no events or very few events and been really stressed the whole time about where my company was going and what was happening. So I want other planners to understand, other people in the industry to understand that you don't have to be by yourself. You can have a team. Yes, it looks different. Yes, I spend time managing my team members. That is different. But I think there's so many ways to, as you said, have success within this industry. And that can look so different for so many different people. Would I love to have a team of 20? Sure. That looks like a totally different level of success than what I consider success right now. But I run, I feel so much more successful and within my business and being able to mentor and develop my team members, my planners, whoever else is on my team. And that's just it's a different challenge. And it's just a different level of running my company than where I was, 7 years ago. So I think it's an important topic to talk about so that everyone understands you don't have to be by yourself. You don't have to sit in your office all alone. Running a company is really lonely. And so understanding that it's good to bring in other team members, grow that business, and see where your company can go.
And when you come to the conference, you are with like-minded. I know that is a cliche for all conferences, but it is true, because it doesn't matter how long you've been in this business. This industry always ranks as one of the top 5 most stressful industries. Wedding planner ranks up there above pilots. I challenge you to go ask any pilot this past few days how stressful their job is. But the whole thing is just like, your 18-month-old now doesn't know to miss you. But in 2 or 3, 4 years, when you get up every single Saturday and go plan an event and you missed a soccer game or you missed the first gymnastics and your child doesn't understand why you're going to help somebody else have a party and you're not watching me. So if you are just starting out and you want to try to do this and grow this by yourself, that's great. But at some point, bringing another human that is with you, that can go on these events, it will help you have that balance that we like to talk about, but I say harmony, right? Let's talk about work-life harmony, right? Balance just means we're waiting for something to fall down. Harmony is like, I'm going to have busy home seasons. My kids playing softball this summer. I'm not doing any weddings. Or it's fall and every single weekend I'm doing a wedding. So I think it's important that attendees of all, ages, ethnicities, how long they're in the career, hear from somebody that this is how I've done it. This is how I've grown it. This is a suggestion for you. And the fact that you're not talking, I'll get in trouble a little bit for saying this. You're not talking about one specific platform.
Right.
I think that's the other thing. We hear so much in our industry, this platform does this. Okay, take the platform part. How can it help me?
Right.
How can it benefit me if I try it? Maybe CRMs are not for me.
Right.
Maybe it's all that somebody else brings in. So
Mhm.
I love the fact that you're bringing that, and that you're right, that we have to have that mindset of, I don't want to work 52 weekends a year. You will burn out at 20
Absolutely.
events a year.
Yeah.
You have to figure out how to do that. So I think that when they start hearing about teams and they start understanding about teams, they're going to walk away from your session with a different perspective, or maybe even ways to improve. That being said, how do we prep for your session? Give us 3 or 4 tips that attendees make notes, do something,
Mhm.
reach out to you ahead of time.
Yeah.
You know, Kathy has made it really easy for you to reach all the speakers. So reach out on DM, go into DM, start following, find out. But what's 3 or 4 tips that we should have on our mind, have on our notebooks? What should we do? Open heart, open mind. I know.
Yeah.
What should we come prepared to get all the Jordan wisdom?
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Bobbi. I would say, number one, and I would suggest this for the conference in general or any conference you're attending, take a minute, whether it's on the plane, on the drive to the conference, to really evaluate your business and where you're at right now. It is so much easier to take in all the information, whether it be about building teams, whether it be about something else, if you know where your business is at right now and you can pinpoint those pain areas. What are the areas that are just really hard for you to either get past or get through or work around that you need help with?
Yeah.
Because then you understand which sessions to attend. You understand, when to really be, synced in, when you can say, hey, that person over there, it sounds like they had a similar issue. I should go chat with them because it sounds like they figured it out.
Yep.
And that could be really helpful for me. So I think take the time to evaluate your business, where you're at and what you need help with before you show up, because that's going to give you an understanding of if I don't have any team members, where do I need to start? And so how can I listen to where should I start? How to identify where I'm going to, where I need that assistance and where to find them. So I think that's really important. I'm always a big note taker. So I say, make sure you've got that pen handy, ready. And yes, I'm always happy to chat ahead of time. So if someone has a specific question, I'm always happy to also help roll that into the presentation. So if there's multiple people who have a specific issue, I know, okay, well, within the attendees coming to this conference, I want to hit this area because it's come up over and over. So whether that's, reaching out over email or through Instagram, just letting me know what are those pain points that we really need to talk about, because everybody's in a different spot. But if you can see that pattern, then that's something we're all having issues with and we need to focus on. So I think those are three ways to really, prep ahead of time, specifically for my session and also just the conference in general. And I think just prepare some questions. We'll definitely have time for question and answer. And, I think that's one of the best ways to learn as well, is hearing other people's questions. So if you have some great questions prepared, that can help somebody else in the room.
And I talked about that a little bit yesterday. And I always remind attendees when I'm speaking, if you ask your question, I promise you there's 10 people in this room that have the same question. Be brave enough to ask the question, because it might be different situations, but the question itself is the same. Mm-hmm. And Erin and her group this year have made a speakers room. So we'll be able to be in there and people be able to talk to us. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be around for the conference. So again, get to know Jordan a little bit, ask a question, because she's right. We as speakers often work in that last minute or two slide so we can bring it up in the conference. So we're very approachable. I want attendees to understand that Desiree and Shelby have done a really good job at bringing together speakers that are approachable and that are going to be there the whole conference. So make sure that you do that, because as 2 conference speakers and attendees, I can tell you that doesn't always happen. So you want to take advantage of us being around and getting the gems. And as a reminder, we learn just as much from you as you do from us. So it is a give and a win and win for everybody. Well, thank you, Jordan, for sharing with us. I'm so excited to see you in November. Again, if you are on the fence, I need you to go get that ticket. I need you to show up. Take this time. I know November is busy for a lot of people, but what better way to start prepping those fine little dots and crossing those little T's for 2025 than by attending this convention? It's smack dab in the middle of St. Louis. You can take in a hockey game, bring your family, whatever you need to do, but come and just submerge yourself in this. If you're coming by yourself, take the time off, put the do not disturbs, have your team members back taking care of things. And if you don't have a team, let everybody know that you're coming to learn. That is really good, to be a continuous learner. Your clients will understand. If they don't, they're the wrong client for you. So go get that ticket. Come and join Jordan and myself and 17 other amazing speakers at this conference, an amazing keynote by McKenna. So come and join us, and we will see you all November in St. Louis. And we can't wait to meet y'all and share the experience with you and help you grow your business for 2025 and beyond. Thank you, Jordan, for sharing time with me this morning. I'll see you in November.
See you then, Bobbi.